Hello everyone and welcome back to the Premier Injuries channel. Now today I'm going to talk about concussion protocols, or specifically those enhanced care protocols that specifically apply to players within the English Premier League. What prompted the football associations to tweak those guidelines, we're not sure. These weren't done during the close season, that off-season programme. This was done following those fixtures, that opening round of fixtures in game week 1. Now, there was an incident involving Christian Romero against Brentford. The Argentinian defender suffered a head injury, a head trauma when scoring that opening goal, and he was taken off with a suspected concussion. Now, he went through those old protocols and was cleared to return to play just 6 days later against Manchester United. Now, following that return to play, there's been a change in the guidelines, which now means should that incident happen again, then no player could potentially return to the competitive play within 7 days. Now, the main changes within those enhanced care protocols involve in that stage 1 of the process. Now, typically, there are 6 stages. Now, stage 1 is that initial rest period. And on those previous guidelines, that was suggested that a player must remain symptom-free for at least 24 hours. However, the new guidelines that were implemented now state that a player must remain symptom-free for at least 48 hours. So that additional 24 hours means that players potentially cannot return to play at very best until it's been at least a week. Now, stage 1, that initial rest period, if they come through that symptom-free, they then progress onto stage 2, which is light exercise. And by light exercise, we're talking it could be a little bit of swimming, a little bit of jogging, even some walking, certainly not any sports-specific work, nothing that's really going to jar that head or anything sinister. They then, again, if they could come through that symptom-free for 24 hours, have no kind of reaction, then they will move on to stage 3, which is football-specific exercises. Very light drills, and maybe an increase in intensity into runs. But again, we're not talking about heading the ball. We're not talking about high energy, high intensity sprinting in changes directions. Again, this is maybe just a gradual increase in work output for stuff specifically relates to football. We can then, again, 24 hours, symptom-free, progress onto stage 4, which then comes into non-contact training. So for all intents and purposes, we're looking for players to undertake those activities within the game that replicate football. However, there will be no contact, no tackling, certainly no heading. If you're a goalkeeper, there will be no diving on the ground, and certainly not putting yourself in situations where you could maybe be hit in the head either by a ball or by a foot. Now, to progress from stage 4 onto stage 5, you then have to be cleared by a clinical practitioner, a doctor. They have to go through what we call a SCORE 6 assessment evaluation to make sure that you're ready and you have cleared those protocols to go into a stage 5. Now, stage 5, for all intents and purposes, is full contact practice. So that's integrated fully with the team, taking part in all aspects of training. Now, again, you need to come through that, remain symptom-free for at least 24 hours before you can then go on to stage 6. Now, stage 6 is that return to play. Now, the whole process at its very minimum now is 7 days. However, it can easily extend beyond that. But of course, there are always exceptions to the rule. However, those exceptions, players cannot return to play within 7 days if you hit any of this criteria. Now, this enhanced care protocol that we've discussed, that applies to adults only. So if you're aged 18 or under, then you must complete that extended return to play concussion protocol. If you've had a concussion within that 12-month period prior, then you cannot go through that expedited concussion return to play protocols. Again, you have to go through that extended period. If you've had 5 or more career concussions, again, you cannot go through that expedited return to play guidelines. Also, if there's been a loss of consciousness, if there's evidence of confusion on the field, then the protocols and the medical teams will take that little bit longer to fully evaluate and assess the player before they're able to progress through those various stages and ultimately return to play. So if any of the above is applicable, then the minimum amount of time that a player can return to play is after 12 days. But of course, that is dependent on coming through those stages 1 through to 6, progressing through those symptom-free without any kind of reaction. If there is some kind of adverse problem, then you will be held back until those symptoms clear. So guidance for the upcoming Premier League campaign should be a lot clearer, and I'd suggest that those players who typically pick up head trauma, head injury, and maybe are placed in those concussion protocols may not be available for the following game week, as we have seen in previous Premier League seasons. That's it for now. If you have any further questions, as always, pop them in the box below, or you can hit myself up at Ben Dinnery on Twitter, or Jason McKenna at Jason_R_McKenna, and we try our best to answer all your questions. Thanks for now.